Okay, we ready?
Do it.
Day 3 and 4 recap. The Oriental Express is held in Budapest for an additional day due to the ongoing investigation, funerary arrangements, and repairs to the train. As a result, the train pulls into Constantinople on Saturday, 16 September 1893 at 10:43 a.m. The only notable event on the remaining day of the voyage was involving the Countess Razumovsky. She tired of her dalliance with the Count's cousin, Peter, and is worried that he has become sullen and may try something drastic. It is an easy matter for Daniel and Salvador to convince Peter to leave the Countess alone. After arriving in Constantinople and saying their goodbyes to Henri, the investigators meet Demir's son and daughter, Toprak and Reina. They learn that the night before there was an attempt on Demir's life, but he survived. However, Demir's eldest son, Barlas, was kidnapped. Upon arriving at Demir's house, the investigators learn that Demir was stabbed in the stomach and can get around, but is unable to leave his house. He is worried about Barlas, but is eager to assist the investigators in translating the Whispering Fez to find out how to destroy it. Whilst Daniel and Salvador head to the bazaar to find supplies, James Ambrose works to secure the Demir house, comes up with a plan. That night, a messenger arrives from the kidnappers. They want Demir to meet them Sunday night at midnight and bring the Fezes and the Whispering Fez, and they will return Barlas. They also say that the investigators have 24 hours to leave Constantinople, or they will kill Barlas. Demir knows that the cultists will not hesitate to kill Barlas and suggests that they should either try to intercept the cultists before the meeting or plan an ambush. More importantly, Demir explains the current relations of the various occult players in this drama. There is Selim Mekriat, once partnered with Menkaph and Nisra in the Brothers of the Skin, but now they are enemies since Menkaph and Nisra broke off from the main group. Mekriat is extremely dangerous and almost took Professor Smith's life. There is also an occultist known as the Frenchman. He is a powerful occult figure in this part of the world and may have information on where Nisra and Menkaph are keeping Barlas. It is now evening on Saturday, 16 September 1893. So right. I'm going to say it's pretty late. It's about 9 o'clock by the time you guys arrive back to the house.
We're just lugging these giant things in our arms and over our backs, and we're just like waving at them to come help us.
Yeah, I mean, you took a cab back, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the house with your goods from, because you went to the black market, so you were basically off the grid for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
It took a good 4 hours or so to negotiate a good deal to get whatever it is that you needed.
Mm-hmm.
So they arrived back at the house at about 9 o'clock.
All right, so James
carrying blankets, like oil like seeping out of the blankets, like they
James
come in, or like a tent rolled up.
Yeah, James is prowling around the property with his pistol out, and when he hears the noise out front of them returning, he goes out and greets them and holsters his pistol and says, well, gentlemen, it looks like you had a successful evening this evening. What'd you bring back with you? Christmas presents?
That we did.
Yeah, we did, my Sir James.
We've brought some fine German craftsmanship.
Daniel, I'm no sir. I've never been a sir in my life. Come on in. All right, so
he'll make it through this. If we make it through this, they should knight us.
Sorry. They certainly should.
Demir's wife has a meal waiting for you.
Yeah, I accept generously, yeah.
Lamb, salad, wine, fresh wine. olives, flatbread, of course, Turkish coffee. By all accounts, it's a fine meal.
Then I accept it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, so as we sit down and kind of break bread here, James will inform the rest of the group. We had a messenger come by tonight. Here's this note that was left for us, and he'll kind of hand it around to the rest of the party and give them a chance to read it and get them all caught up.
Would Demir be taking a break to have food? Yeah, 'cause if he's not taking a break, Vyacheslav is not coming up from that cellar.
Is he in the cellar or the office?
We have him in the cellar.
Yeah,
I thought we
study.
agreed in the study because he can't bring all of his books down there.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way he'd be able to do any proper research.
Yeah.
And we're up in the study.
And he knows it's going to take 24 hours to even begin to scratch the surface on this document.
Well, I'll bring a plate in for both Demir and for Vyacheslav. Make sure they keep their strength up while they're doing their research.
I pull a single lamb chop off Vyacheslav plate and be like, he doesn't need that much.
He needs to lose a few pounds.
So when you're bringing the fruit, Demir thanks you and says, were you able to find what you were looking for at the bazaar?
Oh yes.
Certainly, yes. We picked up plenty of munitions and arms so that we might properly defend your family, and what is to believe from this note to be true, and what James tells us that we might run into some trouble tomorrow as well.
And while he says that, I'm just gonna hand the gewehr to Vyacheslav and say, I think this might be up your alley, my friend.
Big smile comes across his face. Oh, you
arrived here at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They said you have 24 hours to leave town.
So how much does that leave us?
If you're going to plan anything, you have to at least make it look as if you're leaving. If you have any other plans out by 2 o'clock. And then I can pretend to head to wherever this meeting place is going to be. And I hope you have something a little more solid planned after that. Did anyone have a chance? None of you went to talk to the Frenchman, did you?
We did not. But I could, if you wished me to.
Maybe tomorrow might not be a terrible idea. I honestly, I don't know whose side he is on, actually, but he is quite knowledgeable in all the occult matters that are taking place in Turkey these days. He might have information that I'm not privy to.
Demir, let me say, it is at least of my persuasion that if we don't know whose side he's on, perhaps it's best to not drag him into whatever conflict this is. And if he is on the other side, well, then we might just be protecting one of our own by keeping him here. Personally, I do not think it is worth taking the risk.
You can do it as you like, of course, but I found that it seems that everyone has their own part to play. Even the Baron.
Well,
What the Baron did is not right. I'm not condoning his actions, but if he hadn't done what he did, there are certain things that have yet to have been discovered that we would have learned much harder ways, I feel, with a much greater loss of life.
And gentlemen, no matter how we look at this, we're greatly outnumbered. Any additional help that we could possibly locate might benefit us greatly.
Well,
I think a short trip across the city, might benefit us. And Salvador, if you'll have me, I wouldn't mind getting out and stretching my legs for a little bit.
I most certainly would.
I wouldn't advise going in the evening time, however. The city can be quite dangerous at night.
Maybe first thing in the morning before we leave, you can go and talk to him.
Yeah, that may be the best idea. And wait for dawn, and then go see this Frenchman. And what do you think, James?
I think it sounds like a good idea.
As is, well, we do not know on whose side the Frenchman is. Seems like everyone is ultimately on their own side. If he's against them, whether he's, one of the many cultists, or if he's either not with them or against them, well, common enemies, as they say. He might help us as a matter of principle.
He may, and if he's against us, I have a 45 caliber friend here that will put him down.
He has given
So do
me.
I.
He has provided me with useful information from time to time in my own studies.
Well,
Worth a shot at least. I mean, I probably won't be the one going, but anyone who goes is, it's probably good for the group.
Perhaps maybe this is a one-man mission so that he does not feel overwhelmed or scared or intimidated.
to be fair, we're talking of people that can turn men into monsters by shoving fezzes in their heads, and they can hypnotize people with words. I don't think 2 people would be much intimidating to someone like that.
Salvador mirrors my thoughts on the matter. Plus, this is quite the dangerous city, and going alone is probably not the best. Hence the reason I went with Salvador to the Black Market. Not that I needed him, but
Even though I was the one that found the guns.
No, I found them.
Gentlemen, please stop measuring yourselves against one another. We have more important things to discuss.
I would.
Demir, you said you've dealt with this Frenchman before. What can you tell us of his character and his personality? What kind of man is he?
Well, he is French. I know that I'm not sure what his background is. I don't know if he hails from nobility or not. And whatever I don't know how his studies have been in terms of a return on his large investment that it takes to maintain a library of any sort. But he is doing quite well for himself. He lives in a palace, not too far from here. In fact, he lives very close to the Sultan himself. I know he has traveled extensively and studied extensively and is very well connected. But like the Baron, he is extremely intelligent, doesn't suffer fools, and would surely take any sign of arrogance as an insult.
Perhaps
So
James and
if you
Salvador
go,
wants to go then.
I would advise caution. But I certainly wouldn't recommend going to him if I felt he was anywhere near as much a rapscallion as Menkaph.
Good advice. We'll take that into consideration.
But if I just want to remind you all that my son's life hangs in the balance. So whatever you decide, I know you'll act in his best interest. For myself, I know that once I'm done translating this work, if it's for the greater good, I've already served my purpose in this tale. But my children are innocents here. I would like if they could survive.
Bob's eyes are just kind of like, his eyebrows are just like, and he's rubbing down the gun. Clearly he does not approve, especially if we're talking about the greater good versus, his child. And Vyacheslav just in the back of his mind knows that Demir is going to do something brash to save his son. And so he's just like holding his tongue and polishing this gun.
Wow.
But you guys have been with
This is like
Vyacheslav long enough to know what his face says.
Yeah. In a way, Salvador will respond as, and we'll keep that in mind. As is, we all know that all of us probably won't last long. least we can do is make sure that at least your son does.
Daniel, while not of the exact same mind of Salvador, is willing to help the son, but he's not willing to throw his life away for anybody else's. Well, he won't say that out loud. He's a rational man, and will temper any rash action with his own caution.
I mean, just to clarify, it's not that Salvador is willing to give his life. It's just that by now he's fairly, convinced that he's not coming back from Constantinople.
See, Daniel has not been convinced of that. He's sure he's going home. He's got stuff to take care of. He's got a business at home. He's not willing to throw it all away here on one job. This is a job for him. So, Daniel's a professional.
I think James is a little bit adrift right now. His close friend and kind of mentor and business partner for a very long time has recently been killed. So I think his kind of outlook is a little more fatalistic, and he kind of feels like maybe this is his kind of last hurrah. And if the opportunity arises to give his life to save this child, it may be something that he would kind of do without having to think about. But we'll see, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So what would you like?
Fates worse than...
There are so many fates worse than death in this game. It's not funny. Just throw a dart. Okay, so Demir says, if you gentlemen will excuse me, I would like to get back to translating. So he thinks there's two sections to the book. There's the Persian section, and then there's a section with the hieroglyphs. So he lifted the hieroglyphs off the fez, and he's going to use that as like a key to translate based off of what he discovers from the Persian part. But it's still not easy to translate. He needs time to do it to make sure the translation is accurate. So he excuses himself so that he can continue his studies. Vyacheslav, you're going to stay?
Aye, that is correct, and if there is anything I can do to assist and maybe decrease the amount of time this might take, let me know.
Yeah, that's great. So he basically has you like doing book running for him. So like he'll be at the desk and flipping and like, Vyacheslav, be a good lad and get me that book off the third shelf with the red binding.
I would say to him,
I said.
I would say to him, I was a professor at the university. You don't have to talk to me like I am a child. I know what book is what book. If you tell me...
Well, you're holding the wrong one, so get the one next to the one you're holding.
And I imagine as this goes on,
we
get
respect for your credentials.
As this goes on, I imagine we get grumpier and grumpier at each other, and like when I do it like another time, Vyacheslav is like, "Okay, you blasted man," and just chucks a book at him.
You can tell he's kind of like teasing you a little bit too. He's basically doing what he can to keep his own spirits up, so he doesn't think about the massive gut wound he has or the his kidnapped son. Right. So he's trying to make light of it by gently ribbing Vyacheslav. But at the same time, he's showing you important things as he's translating. He can't teach you the language, obviously, but he can, as little bits come to light, he's like, this is making a little more sense now. And copy, scribble. But obviously, the translating part is like, there's so much to read because it's like reading a legal text. So you read a paragraph, let's say, but then you have to decompartmentalize the entire thing, break it all down, and then figure out, what are they actually saying with each sentence, and then with each paragraph, and then each page, and then he'll turn it over, do the same thing on the next page, then go back, make sure that he translated it correctly, and look for grammatical errors, so on and so forth, onward through the night. 9 o'clock turns to 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight strikes. His wife comes in, brings you more coffee. What are you guys going to be doing in the intervening hours?
Daniel's going to be checking the defenses. That was one of the things he was, put himself in, in the role of. He was definitely going to check the defenses, make sure nobody fucked it up. He's going to go check everything, and then he's going to, mentally find his route through the house, like what he's going to do. So,
I will tell you this: at one point, you do need to get sleep. If you cut your sleep short, I will penalize stuff the next day because you're going to be fatigued. So you're going to need to catch at least 6 hours of sleep.
Vyacheslav would wait until
6 hours in one go, or 6 hours the whole night?
Yeah, 6 hours in total. So you can break it up, 2, 2, and 2, however you need it, but you can't. Obviously, if Vyacheslav stays up the entire night, you're going to be well exhausted by the time this translating is done.
During the more like intensive portions of what he's doing, where it's less like explaining and more just like him trying to figure it out, that's when Vyacheslav would be getting his sleep.
Crash on the couch.
Or up in
That
the
sort of
study.
thing.
I mean, like crash literally in the chair in the room with him.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in the study, there's like a long French sofa. You can just like
I would
crash
probably
on
still
that.
be able to get my 6 hours, even if it was broken up.
Me, Salvador, and James, can switch off roaming the house, or maybe do in sets of 2. 2 people are roaming the house, one person is asleep, and then we switch up like every 3 hours or something. We could do it that way.
Yep.
Yeah, works out.
However the math works out, I don't feel like doing it.
I wish I had a really big book right now because I want to like slap it shut. Because
I got you.
That's the only thing that makes that sound.
Oh, here we go.
Grab like either a
Computer
textbook or,
science.
There you go. Open it to the middle. Give it a good slam. Perfect. So
Excellent.
at 2 o'clock in the morning, Vyacheslav, you hear that sound. You're just like awakened. It's like a gunshot it's in the middle of the night. Slam, and he's like, "Well, my friend, that's that part done."
That is what part done? The translating?
I have translated the Persian portion.
What is the next portion?
Do me a favor. See if my wife is still up and have her bring us some coffee, or if you would.
Oh God.
Absolutely. So instead of I carry the rifle with me because I imagine it's probably got a sling on it. So I carry it on a sling, and then I have my rifle with me, and I'm just gonna keep my hand on my gun because I already know this place has been broken into. I'm gonna be ready to shoot something.
Probably me while I'm like patrolling the hallways.
I look at him. I look at him and I say, "Are you sure you're okay by yourself?
Yes, my friend, I'm okay.
Do you have defense?"
I'm fine. I've read worse.
Vyacheslav leaves the room in search of his wife, his waifu.
Yeah, so she hears you walking around and she comes down the stairs and says, I heard talking. Is there good news?
As far as I know, he's finished the translation of the Persian portion of the book. However, he says
He'll
he
be
requires...
wanting some coffee.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. This is not my first rodeo, as they say in the United States.
I do not know. I am not from there. He chuckles and he says, "If it's all right with you, I'm going to go back upstairs."
I'm sure your wife has put up with similar things while you were deep in study as well.
My wife is much more accustomed to getting me a little bit heavier drinks, if you know what I mean.
So she goes to the kitchen. She's fixing the coffee.
I go back up to the room. Yeah, I tell her, I'm like, if it's all right with you, I am going back.
She whispers because she's talking low because the kids are asleep. Just do me a favor and ask if any of your companions are still up, if they would like a cup. It's impossible for them to not be hospitable, these people.
Is it a culture thing or just these people?
It's a cultural thing. So she's preparing bread and getting some cheese
which two
and
would be
coffee
roaming
and
at this point? What time in the morning is it?
This is 2 a.m.
Okay.
James is up. He's walking around.
Salvador, do you want the first watch or?
Yeah, I'd say that Salvador would have taken like the first watch,
Right, then I'll
just
be
so he
asleep.
could get like all the sleep in one go. So
I'm
he's
not
probably
gonna.
sleeping
I'm
now.
not gonna look too far because Vyacheslav does not want to leave. That room. He doesn't want to go too far. That's why these guys are out here. So he's not gonna wander too far off. And if he doesn't find them, he's going back up. Hell with the coffee.
Well, I mean, she did say that she'd bring it, so there's that.
It doesn't take too long till you find Salvador kind of like leaning against in the front entry, just like leaning against, occasionally checking the front window to make sure.
I walk up behind him and just Salvador.
What?
I did not catch you sleeping, friend. Did I?
Which watch it is?
I don't know either. Look, Demir's
Yes.
wife is making coffee. If you want some, let her know. I am going back upstairs. Tell the other two if they want coffee.
Yep. No worries. I will tell them.
I personally do not
At
need
that point, no. Well, I mean, I'd say suit yourself. It's gonna be a long, rough night.
I can't hear you, sir.
I'd
We
like
can't
to
hear you.
try and get some more sleep if possible.
So do I, my friend. They know that tomorrow at least I'll be dealing with the Frenchman. I'll go see what James and Daniel are feeling like.
And at that point, I return upstairs.
Yeah, I give him a nod. Smoke a cigarette, then, go find whichever of the two is awake. So that
That's
means
me.
James, and, just...
Yeah.
Yeah. And just, like... approach him like rubbing my hands and such. Demir's wife is preparing some coffee and some snacks.
Oh, thank you. I'm in desperate need of a cup of coffee right now. And he kind of stretches a little bit and follows Salvador down towards the kitchen.
Yeah, and I will take him there as is. Coffee's not going to do much at this point to stop him from getting some shut eye afterwards. Because at this point, just between all the experiences, just might make his sleep a bit more light, which is not a bad thing in this case.
So while you're getting coffee in the kitchen, she's getting ready to bring a tray to the study. Vyacheslav returns to the study, and Demir says, "Okay, well, before we get down to the hard part, would you like to know what I've translated so far?"
Yes, I would indeed like to know.
Do it. So he cracks open the book and says, "Okay, notice what it says here on becoming a true master of the fez. It says here, you must give yourself up to the blood-red fez before it rewards you. Only by wearing the fez, by risking that your will is weak, are you unworthy and thus be consumed by the fez. Now, this seems to match what you have said about these creatures. So there's some kind of test of will that they failed or succumbed to."
They are wearing one of the fezzes, and they become this monstrous nightmare that you never want to see, friend, I promise.
But Menkaph, you said, was not affected. He was wearing one.
Fortunately, that is correct.
Okay, then it says here. Notice what it says. See this line here. That means, can you emerge tested and triumphant and able to channel its grand and terrible powers? Now listen. Flips back a little bit more to another part where he had folded one of the pages the corner over. This section talks about the creation of kind of, I guess you would call them slave fezzes to the master fez. It says here, look, once one has mastered the fez, it is possible to spawn more, which are alike in power first. This requires of the initial wearer a sacrifice of some small part of the soul, either his own or another's. Now, this to me sounds like what you described, Mr. Myers. You said that he appeared as himself, but not as himself. Menkaph kept him dressed, so maybe he had somehow kept his soul intact. We'll never know now that he's passed on. God rest his soul. Anyway, carrying on, it says here, in this way, each day another fez can be brought forth into infinity. So I'm afraid that even though you captured all the fezzes off the train, there's no telling what he could have done in the last couple of days.
There could be hundreds of these things.
That is correct. Notice what it says here. With each wearer, the master can achieve power greater than can be believed. Now, the good news is that we know that there's only one book that exists, which is why they're so desperate to have it. So there must be some information in this book that they cannot have translated. Now, I know that Menkaph and Nisra are fluent in Persian, but it must be the hieroglyphs at the end that they weren't able to translate, which means that I don't believe there are hundreds. I think that they are desperate to get this book for whatever ends that they need, and they'd be willing to sacrifice all of us in order to get it. Cannot allow that to happen. Now listen here. Goes to the next section. This is challenges to the master. I don't know what this means. Beware. Others who gain a fez may try and assert themselves as masters. Heed my advice and keep a small group of acolytes in fezes that one may expend when the challenge comes. Does that mean anything to you?
See here, the Menkaph had a whole following of crew members that he had fezzes on. And they kind of stayed hidden until the second to last night there on the train, where we were attacked and we lost our dear friend Edmund.
That's
And
when
Everett.
Menkaph played his hand. Fortunately, you escaped with the fezzes and the book, which has now unfortunately brought their wrath upon us. But so it would seem that Menkaph is the master and these were his acolytes then. Flip, 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 flip. Okay, this section is called The Control of the Damned. It says here, left uncontrolled, the fez will destroy the wearer. Once that happens, the thing that the fez wearer becomes may be controlled by another, more powerful masters of the fez. They will be as mindless thralls bent only to the master's desires. Now that sounds exactly like the creatures you were describing. Can't hear you.
Said absolutely. Sounds just like it.
Fuck those things.
Now, this is interesting. This section is called, it mentions the gate and the key. It says the blood red fez is the gate and the key. If the blood of a prince is present, the fez may call forth that which awaits outside.
I don't like the sound of that.
It is.
Does that mean anything to you? Demir says, well, you know, the Sultan has many relatives that could be princes or his own children. So it makes sense that they would have picked to have their base of operations here if they needed access to a prince. I think that kidnapping a prince here would be a lot easier than kidnapping a prince in England, let's say. But notice what it says here, that call forth that which waits outside. Does that mean anything to you?
I don't know. I mean, I could consult my father's notes, but there's not much more in there than stuff about Russian vampires.
Okay, this is confusing indeed. All right. His wife comes in
It's
with the
outside
coffee.
of what?
Well, I don't know, but outside seems to be indicated. If you look at the text here, you can see it almost appears as if it's capitalized, like it's an actual place.
I mean, could I make like, could I make some kind of like, library use or?
Yeah, I'm afraid not. You need an insane amount of Cthulhu mythos to even begin to understand this book, unfortunately.
I have 0.
And we have not been playing this game long enough.
No, well, one thing is for sure, if you survive tonight, you might have enough mythos
Oh boy.
Tonight?
to do exactly that.
If we survive tonight?
I don't mean the game night, I mean the real life night. Anyway, so Demir lays all that info on you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do not really know what to make of all of it. And he just kind of chucks his father's notes at him and says, maybe you can find something in there that relates. I hope he has one last piece of knowledge that we can suck out of that book. I never understand half of his ramblings.
Maybe they aren't ramblings at all, my friend.
Who knows? He's dead now. And he just kind of chuckles and takes a swig of vodka.
That's Russian humor for you.
He might be not totally dead if his memories live on in this book, though.
You're right.
The rest of the night passes without any real incident. Daniel, you're on the final watch, I guess? Early morning? Like dawn hours of you?
Something like that.
Okay. So, Demir says he has to, by like 3 o'clock, he's like, I have to close my eyes for a couple of hours. Like, his brain is fried.
So I guess when he does that and I wake up, is there any way I could take over for him?
Not at this point. In order to translate, well, let's see. I'll read the.
Well, he was finished translating, wasn't he?
Read it
just
out in
the
Persian, see if
Persian
you can
part.
translate.
He did not
the
translate
hieroglyphs.
the hieroglyphic part, the final part. So I'll tell you what the requirements are, and then you tell me if you meet them. Okay, here we go. Okay, so part 1 is in Persian. Part 2. Okay, it takes 24 hours, which he was able to do in 12 because you were helping him. The end of the book is in hieroglyphics, similar to the symbols and patterns of those found on the Fez. Only very rare individuals can translate or interpret it correctly. They must have over 25% Cthulhu mythos and over 75% Persian to do so, and it takes 12 hours. It occupies only a few pages at the end of the book, but that's basically it. That's when it really comes down to the actual mythos tome. So there's sanity loss and all this other stuff that happens.
No, I don't have any of that, but I will stay up and keep watch of the books so that we're not both sleeping.
Yeah, so at 3 o'clock he says, I'll be back down at dawn. I just need to close my eyes for a couple of hours.
Perhaps you should sleep up here. You are more protected here.
I appreciate it, my friend, but if someone's going to do anything at this point, I would say
Bring it on.
They're going to do it. I feel
But
I feel
here's the
quite
thing.
safe.
We need you. Is there a way I can... We need you alive. Is there a way that I can convince him to stay here instead of...
I always scream extra loud. He has to stand up, and it's like, because his gut just cut open the day before. He's like, I have to lay down. I have to change the dressing, and I need to get some proper rest, or my wife will never let me live this down.
There is no convincing you. I cannot stop you. I mean, I could, but that wouldn't do us any good. And he chuckles and takes another swig of vodka.
So he goes, to sleep till, 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever. So Daniel, you are patrolling the house?
If I'm awake and somebody else is asleep, then yes, I will be my preset patrol I made for myself earlier, just walking around, fiddling with stuff around the house, listening out.
Yeah, I would say you get relieved. You are patrolling the upstairs when you hear a noise from the downstairs that sounds like a piece of paper being shoved under the front door.
Without trying to make too much noise myself, I go down to see if I can see where the noise is coming from.
Mm-hmm. So when you go to the front entry, you see that indeed there was a note pressed under the door.
I am going to go look out a window that leads towards the front and see if I can see anyone running or walking away.
You see someone walking away. He looks to be dressed like everyone else that you've seen so far, Turkish person.
Does he look like one of the messenger people we found earlier?
Yes, he doesn't appear. He doesn't look like a cult member. He's not armed, and he doesn't meet up with any other people. Just walked up, slid the message under the door, and is walking away.
I'm gonna take the message and open it.
Okay, so the message is a note written to Demir from Nisra with details as to when and where they want to meet.
Okay.
Where is that? Okay, here we go. It's going to take place at midnight on Sunday. The place is going to be at the dockyards at Qasim Pasha on the Paris side of the Golden Horn near the shipping yards. So if you look at the map of Constantinople and you look at the Golden Horn, and then you have the Paris side and the Qasim Pasha is kind of like midway up there to the left of where it says Para.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the far side of the water, however. You wouldn't know this.
Located?
Yeah, you wouldn't know any of this. You're kind of in the heart of Constantinople. The professor's house is
like straight in the center of it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Alright,
None of it makes any sense to you, obviously.
Seeing
you look
as
at
it's
it.
not, I don't
In
think that
fact, I'm
urgent.
going to say you might not even be able to read it. It's probably written in Turkish, actually.
Oh, okay.
So you see it's a note
I don't speak Turkish or anything.
of scribble scrabble.
I read and write a little Turkish.
Are you awake?
No.
So I'm the only one awake.
Well, Vyacheslav is awake, but he does not read Turkish.
Alright. Since I don't know if it's important or not, since I don't speak Turkish, or read it anyway, I am going to go wake up James, as he does speak a little bit, and show it to him, saying, this was just, wake up, man, wake up. Shake him awake.
So you shake me awake, and he immediately draws his pistol out from under his pillow. And when he realizes it's you, he kind of tucks it back into his holster, and he's like, "Oh, what time is it, man?"
It's early. Here, this was just shoved under our door by some sort of messenger. What can you make out?
All right, so he'll take a look at it. Do you need me to roll?
Yes, you have Persian?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Turkish,
Turkish, yeah.
rather?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just roll against that.
Not even close.
Yeah, it's grammatically it's too complex, or the handwriting is too cursive.
Okay, so I say, Daniel, I'm sorry, I don't know what this is. I don't know if I'm just not awake yet. Maybe I need a cup of coffee.
You can't
maybe
make
bring
out.
this to
You can't make out any words. You can't make out any words.
I don't know, Ben. Am I able to?
Let's see. What did you have? You have 30%. You rolled a 48.
Yep.
Yeah, no way.
Okay.
If you're within a point or two, I would say maybe.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, my friend.
Well, it's probably not super important if they were just sliding it under the door. I'll leave it in the study. Don't let me forget.
All right. I'm going to find myself a cup of coffee now that I'm awake.
Then I
Yeah,
go.
so I would say.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Daniel.
I was just saying
No,
I was
you
going
go
to make my
first.
way down there and leave it on the study somewhere that it's noticeable.
Okay. So I would say within the hour, because this is like 5 o'clock in the morning, let's say. So within the hour, Demir wakes, kind of washes, heads over to the study. You hear his wife wake up, start preparing breakfast for everyone. And so, Vyacheslav, you're in the study still, right? Can't hear you.
Yes.
So he comes in, he says, "Good God, man, you're still here."
Yes, I told you. I was not leaving this book alone, and I was not leaving it unattended. I said the
he
same
kinda
thing
like-
twice.
Hobbles over to you, like clutching his gut. He has like a walking stick that he uses to get around. He pats you on the shoulder, shuffles over, sits down at the desk. He sees the note that Daniel had left there. And he says, "Oh, what do we have here?" He opens it up.
Brought in note.
And
He
he's-
left it.
His face just like, his eyes go wide. They've set the time and place they want to meet. Good night. They want to meet the docks on the far side of the Golden Horn.
Sorry,
At
friend.
midnight
Foreigner
tonight.
in a foreign land. Tonight?
Tonight at midnight. So they want to clearly make
Sunday.
sure that you are all gone before they enact this change.
I'd say to Demir, look, friend, we can make ourselves gone. If you wish for us to be gone. If you think this will be much safer, but, we can also make ourselves appear to be gone, but in actuality be very, very close.
Be very, very not gone.
Well, of utmost importance is the life of my son. We know that they're not going to honor this deal, and as soon as they have the book, both he and I are as good as dead.
Look, I know
So-
that, and let
If
me
only we
explain
could find out where they're keeping him.
You said that he is wanting to meet us at the docks, yes?
Yes, it's going to be very difficult to get there. You're going to need to hire a ship. However,
Are there any
know a man.
taller buildings in that area? Because I happen to have acquired
it's
a
the
brand new
docks.
rifle.
Well, an ambush you're talking about.
I believe that is an option of ours. Am I saying that it is our only option? No, and I am not going to be the one to make a decision and fuck us all over. I'll let James or Salvador or Daniel do that.
Well, if it comes to be our last resort, we might be able to work out something, but you're going to need a way of getting over there, and it's going to take hours by boat. But I know someone that would be able to help us. His name is Boran, and he has many contacts in the underworld. But he owes me a favor, and he is a dear friend of ours. All things considered, he's a good man. And I have no doubt that he will take you wherever you need to go as far as river travel is concerned.
Well,
So I'm
friend,
going to put that in the plus column. As a piece of paper is like pros, Boran, long-range rifles, minus column, outnumbered, kidnapped my son, stabbed in the stomach,
Broken immersion.
it's possible. It is possible.
mythos, entity.
If Salvador's conversation with the Frenchman goes well, it is possible you could add that to the plus column later.
Possibly. We'll see what the morning turns up. I smell the coffee now, though. So before we dig back into this next round of study, let's at least have breakfast. One last good breakfast,
Vyacheslav
perhaps.
stretches and says, "Ugh, never been much of a breakfast person," undoes the cap on his flask, takes a sip and says, "I think I will catch up on what sleep I missed while you all eat breakfast." And he,
This could be your last one, man.
like I
Come
said,
join us.
not much of a breakfast person. Let me know when it's lunchtime. I will eat then. And he kicks back.
Mm-hmm.
So, what does everyone like to do this morning?
I mean, first getting breakfast, and then, like convening with James about how we're gonna go about meeting the Frenchman. I mean, and I will actually start, like, as we're going over breakfast. James, I think I know how we should approach this. We'll start by going first to the trade, make sure that if anyone was following us, taking us out, making it look as though we've gone to buy the tickets, and use the waves of people to try and, lose anyone that might be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to the Frenchman. Maybe we can get something nice, like, I guess, as a gift of good. Bottle of wine or something like that.
Yes. Yeah, well, it's a good plan. Maybe purchase some ferry tickets or something. And then maybe set up, not an ambush, but potential, I don't know, maybe we could meander down a narrow alley and see if we're followed by anyone. Kind of watch the far end for a little while and see if we can lose any potential pursuers, and then make our way over to the Frenchman.
A good idea. The question here is, has Demir shared with us, where the meeting and all that stuff is going to happen, or?
I would say during the course of breakfast, yeah, definitely. He will have told you where he's going to meet. He actually shows you the map and shows you where the docks are. They didn't specify which dock, so it's impossible to say where they'll be in that area, but it's a big area. It's pretty open. It's practically deserted at night.
They never said don't bring the police, so we should bring the police.
Wait.
That was not in the ransom letter.
Wait.
To not bring the police.
Wait.
He just shushed me.
Ben, of course, I am above you in rank. Now,
maybe it's social status right now. I'm definitely gonna let you die when we win this fight here.
This is why I like playing the old man.
I'm gonna accidentally shoot you.
Oh, don't worry. Tonight, many accidents will happen. Anyway.
So it's like
I'd say
8:30, 9 o'clock.
We're gonna run. Like we're gonna, hurriedly go there.
I asked Demir,
So
where do I meet Boran?
Be right back.
Let's get on the hot foot and get moving, my friend.
Yes, let us.
I like the telegram from James.
Curious.
Think it'll work?
You forgot to stop.
So curious,
Stop on.
Ben, as a man who probably has lighter skin, I guess being Russian, but really dark hair, he could probably pass for a Greek, right?
Probably not. I mean, you're not going to be tanned enough.
Okay, well that's fair.
Everyone that lives
right.
in that area is bronzed all year.
Well,
So
everyone,
Europeans are instantly identifiable. There's no way to hide the fact that you're not from the Mediterranean.
but there is a way to once again disguise who I am at the very least, right?
I mean, to be fair, like that's the thing. You gotta keep in mind that the Mediterranean is a strange place because you've got, for instance, like dark-skinned people with like dark hair and such, but then you've got blondes with blue eyes and
That's
pale
pretty
skin.
racist.
Very
For instance,
quickly, Vyacheslav is going to shave the remainder of his facial hair and actually kind of like cut his hair because he's got relatively long hair, and he's just gonna like quickly like chop it.
What was
So,
your
quick question.
alias again on the
It was
on the
Sergei
trains?
Sergei Levchenko, which is a Ukrainian name.
Okay.
Mhm.
And who is going to the railway station?
I'm
I
going to
think
meet
Salvador-
Boran, so whoever.
Yeah,
Yeah, Salvador and
James are going there.
Salvador.
We're gonna go there and then to the
James.
Frenchman, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. I just gotta check something real quick.
I bet Nil is
And
like geared up. He's about this.
oh yeah, I'm ready for this. Like one way or another, we're gonna fucking make this a big one.
Okay, great. So
One
Salvador
quick
and
question.
James.
Could you type down the name of the place where the meeting at the docks will be, like the name of the docks themselves?
It doesn't really have a name, but I can tell you the location.
Yeah, that would be much appreciated. Because
Okay,
I gotta
hang on
write that
one
telegraph.
Hang on one sec. I'm just putting it into Fantasy Grounds.
Get it done tonight. I don't even care. If we have to stay up late. I want it done. It definitely looks like Nil is playing the piano part right now.
There we go. This should pique his curiosity enough.
Okay,
And I even
so
made
you're
sure to
saying
include the stop.
There will be
And you're
hats.
you're sending that to Salim, correct? Mekriat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you read that?
Okay.
Yep.
Can you read that out loud?
Nisra Menkaph will be at Kasim Pasha, parasite of Golden Horn near shipping yards. Stop. There will be book. Stop. There will be hats. Stop.
There will be hats.
There will be
Because you
birthday
can't read
cake.
English.
Stop.
I
Oh, but
forgot
not just that,
you
I
can't
mean-
read English.
Oh no, I do have a 50 in English, so I can.
No.
Just,
I mean, you put it in English, and on Vyacheslav's screen, it's going to come up as gibberish because his reading isn't that high.
Oh, my English is 50, yeah. So I see Nizra Menkaph will be at the Kasim Pasha parasite of Golden Horn near shipping yards. Stop. There will be book. Stop. There will be hats. Stop.
Yeah, because I think
so you were able to read it?
50% is considered fluent.
And not just that, there is one thing that I also have to say. Like the plural of fez is fezzes, right? When you
Fez.
do telegraphs, they usually charge you by the letter. So saying hats instead of fezzes is actually it would make sense that I would say that.
I'm gonna see. I'm gonna ask Professor Demir if I can borrow some of his Fucking Shane. If I can borrow some of his clothes, maybe something a little more local than what James is currently dressed in. Something that may help me to blend in with the local population a little bit better.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay.
They find you some trousers and some loose-fitting
Like
shirt
that long,
and
one piece.
yeah. I mean, if you really want to fit in, you'll wear a fez.
Just as long as it's not a blood red one.
So Salvador and James leave.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're semi-disguised. You're closed a little bit.
Yep.
I have their big weapons.
Vyacheslav,
I
yeah,
just got
and
my
you
Schofield in my
shaved
Derringer.
off your mustache and cut your hair.
Yeah. I guess I put on a fez.
Not me, but I've gathered my beard down into like a little twisted knot type thing at the bottom.
Daniel's
do
not
you-
willing to shave his mustache for this.
Daniel's a
And-
selfish fuck.
Hey, he is,
I-
bro. That's why he lasted so long in his
mean-
own business.
In Salvador's case, like, actually, he's gonna keep, like, his beard because by this point, like, he's starting to get, like, definitely a bit of it, and then, he's just gonna shave his head.
So
Fuck it.
if I would say you guys are gone for 30 minutes
Mm-hmm.
when you hear in front of the house the sound of multiple carriages pulling up in front of the house.
Who is you guys here?
Everyone who's
Daniel,
left the
Salvador.
house.
Or me and you, Trevor. Which is scary.
Now, Vyacheslav, I'm assuming, is in the study
Well,
with
I
Demir still.
I had asked Demir where to meet. What's his name? Because that's where I was going. I was going to be leaving the same time the other two were. But I mean, if it's
So you're going to meet Boran to try and get the boat.
I mean, that was my intention.
That's fine. So Daniel, you're at the house alone.
I peek through the drapes.
You see 3 carriages pull up, and about 10 huge guys climb out. They have various.
Can I tell if they look like police?
They do not look like police. They all have weapons of various sorts, which they're making no bones at all to conceal.
Who's home right now? Sorry, man.
Demir's wife, children, Demir, and you.
Selfish.
But you do recognize one of the men at the front. And he is
Is it that...
Edergov,
Who?
the guy that was the right-hand man of the Count, the Russian Count.
Knew the
Guy with
Russians
the
were
bear
involved in
tattoo.
this.
Oh, boy.
So they kind of like stroll up, and you see them come up, and Edergov knocks on the door.
Is Demir walking to answer it, or is someone walking to answer it? Because I'm not going to answer it. Like, I'm like standing near the door waiting for someone to come up to answer the door.
Yeah, so we'll say, what's his name? Sena, the daughter.
I kind of grab her, and I'm like, go find your father, quick. And I rush her off. And I sort of go, just a minute!
So like after a minute or so, Demir like kind of hobbles to the door, and he says, "What is it, Daniel?"
Like so, armed men at the front. I think they wish you ill will. They were on the train with us. I can't say if they're here for good or bad, but it's probably not good. If you want to hold them here as long as you can, I will get your family out the back.
Okay, perhaps bring them to the basement where we agreed.
All right.
In
So
case there are some that maybe they could have the house surrounded, we don't know. At least the basement is the safest place.
Very well. If we're trapped down there, we won't get very far.
They might get further than they would in open ground.
Very well. So I tap him on the shoulder one time, and I, kind of quiet, but I go fairly quick towards wherever the family is, and I attempt to gather them using the wife as the to get the kids going.
So while you're doing that, you hear the door. You hear him open the door, and speaking, you hear Ergov say, "I'm looking for two men, a man named Daniel and a man named Salvador. Are either of them here?" And Demir says, "They were here, but they've left already. They've left the city already." And Ergov goes, "Do you know where they were headed?" He says, "I don't know. They went to the railway station, the last I heard." And Ergov says, "I see. We were sent here to help them with something. Perhaps if you see them, you can let them know to meet us here." And he hands Demir a note.
Are we going to have fucking angry Russians as our reinforcements? Because I am signing the fuck up for that.
You can't. It's all down to Daniel. Fuck.
Yeah.
Demir takes the note and says, "I'll make sure I'll give them the note." He says, if I see them again, I'll let them know. But they've already left. Thank you." He shuts the door. The Russians kind of like talking back and forth in Russian and kind of just like head back to the carriages.
So I was towards the bottom of the stairs, so I could hear a little bit of it, but not all of it. But I'm still down there with the family, tucked away against the wall. So if anyone bad came down, I could at least get a little bit of a jump on them.
Mm-hmm. So Demir comes back and he hands you the note and he says that he's a Russian man. He said that they owed you a favor and he was here to help you with something. They looked like a pretty rough bunch, though. Anyway, he said they're staying at this hotel.
Did you get any vibes off of him? Bad intentions? Just by looking at them, I thought nothing but ill will on them.
He goes, "No, I really can't tell." He seems very distracted because while he's translating the hieroglyphic part, it's like very mythos intensive. So he's kind of wants to just get back to finishing what he started.
Very well. I'm sorry to have put your family in trouble one last time.
I have a feeling this is going to be the end of this matter, no matter how quickly we handle it.
Well, I better be off to meet my friends at the designated spot, wherever that is. Hopefully I will meet you later, and we
I can send one of my children with you. They can get you there.
That would probably be for the best. I can't even read the street signs around here.
So, let me see.
You take the hotel slip?
Son.
The note, yeah.
Toprak is the son. So Toprak will go with you to get you to the meeting place. What time did you guys set a time to meet up?
Well, we said that about noon, if possible. If not, beginning from noon, I guess you could say.
Okay. So, Vyacheslav, you make it to the waterfront, where there are various boats, and Demir describes Boran as a big kind of fellow with, like he says, you can't miss him. He has a huge smile. He's always smiling, like
a crazy man, like Vyacheslav.
Like he knows. He's heard a joke that no one understands, and only he understands it. But he finds it quite funny. You can't miss him. Can't hear ya.
I said, okay, so do I miss him?
No. You go down there, you see someone that looks like it might need his description.
Okay. So I kind of I have like bags of stuff on me because I'm carrying all the heavy weapons and stuff.
Well, you have porters from the cab, coming over. You're just carrying your luggage.
And I kind of look around the docks or the ward, until I see a man that resembles what I'm looking for.
Now you can see that it looks like this is more like fishing boats and stuff like that. This isn't.
These aren't
There are no
the
pleasure
big,
cruises.
Yeah. And Vyacheslav, he kind of mutters to himself. He's like, reminds me a little bit of St. Petersburg, but a little bit warmer. And he takes a swig of his flask and says, well, here goes another thing. And he approaches the man. I assume he sees him doing something like tying ropes on boats and whatnot. Whatever boat people do.
Actually, no. He just seems to be walking down the docks, like saying good morning to people and kind of pressing the flesh. He's not dressed like a sailor at all. He's dressed more like a businessman. So maybe he looks like maybe he could be an importer, perhaps. Like people are coming to him and saying something, and he's speaking with them in Turkish. So you don't know what they're discussing, but it looks like it's more like he seems like he's a boss of some kind, or some kind of administrator, perhaps.
Does everyone in this area speak Arabic, or at least understand mildly Arabic?
Yeah. Well, Arabic is related to Turkish, so they're not terribly different languages.
Maybe to make myself, I'd use less Russian in this area, or speak with I would speak Arabic so that my accent is a little more covered up.
Right. I mean, you can say like merhaba, stuff like that. They're going to understand those. That's a language. That's a word that's in both languages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would just kind of call out from behind him. A man named Demir has sent me to speak with you.
So, Boran is talking with someone. He kind of like shushes him away, like sends him away, gives you this smile. It's like a very winning smile. And he says, well, if Demir sent you, how can I refuse? What can I do for you?
Vyacheslav says,
you look like a man in a hurry to go somewhere. Discreetly.
In a hurry, not necessarily. Discreetly. Very much so. And he takes a swig of his flask, and he kind of like shakes a little bit, like, running a little low. You want some?
No, thank you, but we might be able to remedy that. And he goes like, and two guys come over, and he says, let's go to my office and speak, or we'll be away from prying eyes. And they help carry your bags. He gets like 4 guys to carry all the bags. And you go not too far to a hut, kind of on the side there. And you walk inside, and it's, like a small office type of area. He says, please sit down. He rummages in a cabinet, pulls out a bottle of vodka, puts it down.
Just kind of funnels it and pours some in the flask and says,
a refill.
Thank you kindly for the top-off, friend. Not many Russians can go very long without having a drink or two, especially in these hotter climates. Goodness gracious.
Yes, in my line of business, I import a lot of items of differing values, and I've developed a taste for vodka over the last couple of years. I quite like it.
Yes, a very good drink. But anyways, pleasantries aside, we have a need, and we need it. 4 friends, myself included. We need to make it across the river. Late. By midnight, we need to be over on the other side. Is this something you can help with?
No problem. Easily handled.
Just
A boat ride for 4?
Well, one more request, since you owe Demir such a large favor, I've been told. Do you have any friends who might be able to come along that are maybe, I hate to use the word, but expendable?
Well, none of my men are expendable, but I know people are not unaccustomed to having to handle people in a rather rough manner, if that's what you need.
let's just say there's big trouble in Little China, and people might die this evening.
So you're saying it's another night in Constantinople then?
Yes, another
And he
night in
laughs. I like you. I'll drink to that, he says. He opens the bottle, pours some in a coffee cup.
Yes.
Toast you. That's always tonight's. It's going to be a full moon tonight. It's going to be a good night to die.
Any night is a good night to die, as long as you're dying in good company, friend. And you're dying for
You've
a
said it.
cause.
Well, my cause is money, my friend.
Right
Well,
there with you, my guy.
whether your cause is money or for not for money, for love, what have you, tonight is going to be a terrifying one, to say the least.
But for this, I owe Demir my life. So this is for honor. So I can give you 10 men.
Do you happen to know of a man named Menkaph?
Can't say that I do. Is he an importer?
No, let's just say he's a little bit, he has some screws loose, and he's dealing with things he has no business dealing with. And, I think it's time for him to die tonight.
Well, if Demir's behind this, and that's the way this meeting must end, then that's the price of negotiating with this man. Then
There's
that's so be
another
it.
thing. There's another thing. You must be careful. They have Demir's son. His youngest.
Wasn't it his
kinda
eldest?
goes-
Or his eldest. Well,
Yeah. He's like, this is bad news. I think I can shake loose 12 men for you. You just tell me what time you want to leave. I'll make sure that you get there. I'm assuming
need
that these
to-
bags are full of weapons.
they are indeed. We will be
Okay.
leaving it.
You could.
Well, we need to get there by midnight. Possibly earlier so we can set up.
So I would say we should leave right after low tide.
We
It'll
have
be
to,
easier.
We will have to wait for our friends. We cannot do it without them.
Okay. Can you be here by 7 o'clock?
I think we can make 7 o'clock happen. He smiles really big. He's like, and he stands up and he says, I think I will probably wait here with you.
That's okay. If you want to wait here, that's fine. I have business to conduct.
By all means. I will keep myself scarce as to not hopefully be noticed by anyone.
Okay, so he goes out and continues to conduct his business of the day. So let's cut to Salvador and James.
As I said, say like first, when we're heading towards the train station, like we shouldn't make any effort, to like trail off any, potential people spying on us because we're going to buy the tickets, so why would we hide that? So for the time being, we just head to the station and mingle with the people, go to the teller, buy the tickets when we can. Then we go drop the telegram, which actually I'm gonna drop 2 telegrams. The first one I will be more loud in saying, I will say, I would like to send this telegram back to Spain and send something to my family. And then, like more quietly, that's the point where I'm gonna, also send this one to this man. Does the telegram person know about this Salim or Suleiman or whatever?
Yeah, they can.
He
I'm
seems to
sure
be a
they can
big
figure
fish.
out a way. Yeah, they can figure out a way to get to him. I mean, he's a resident, so.
Yeah. And I will say thank you very much, and like slide him a generous tip, to like make sure that it gets discreetly and at speed.
Expedited.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying for that one day mail.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I will tell you this: that the Orient Express doesn't leave until the following Wednesday, but I mean, you can get rail tickets, no problem.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing, As is, we're already making the preparations to leave, and we were just told, to like stop being with Demir by noon. So technically, we're upholding our end of the deal. Now we're just, preparing ourselves to leave. I mean, we don't need to do like the Orient Express, but we're still.
Yeah, I'm sure there's
like refined.
other rail lines coming and going from the city daily, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, as is, we're just gonna pick like one, like for the next day or for a couple of days, because like I imagine that the less rusty and less we gotta keep our appearances of refined gentlemen after all. So yeah, we're buying one for like tomorrow or the next day, and once that's done, that's when we're gonna start mingling with the crowd. At first make it look like we're just taking a stroll, but then like, intentionally wanting to lose anyone spying on. Do we need to roll anything, or?
Yeah, and I would say we do this in a couple of different ways. One, quick corners into different streets, increasing, decreasing our speed, and James will actually have Salvador, kind of double step. We'll duck into an alley, and as we exit the alley on the far end, he'll have Salvador double step down to the end of the street.
So do you have like a sleight of hand or something that you can roll?
Really, really low. I have spot hidden.
How about fast talk? Since this is like an equivalent of fast talking.
Or is it more like stealth? I mean, you're kind of just stealthing. You're camouflaging yourself through a.
I would say stealth would work as well.
So highest of those two.
Yeah, I mean my fast talk is much higher.
I'll allow fast talk.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Neil just froze.
Let me see.
Yeah, I still got him.
We can see and hear you, Neil.
Nice. Okay, good. Just that for a moment, I don't know, like everything just froze for me.
Stealth or fast talk?
Both of us, or only him?
Both.
Fast talk.
No, I would say that for both of you, one roll is sufficient.
Yeah, I got a regular success.
Yeah, so you're able to shrug off any pursuit that might have been following you.
And that's when we go for the Frenchman.
Yep.
And Daniel, are you going to be doing anything particular?
No, I'm just on my way to the Hagia Sophia. Since I don't know if we've met up yet. When we did meet up, I would probably eventually talk to them about the note, especially Salvador in particular, because it was not only me and him they were looking for, but it was me and him that helped the Russians in the first place. And I expressed to him how many there were, and the fact that they were fucking armed to the teeth.
Okay, that's not going to be till later because I'm going to visit the Frenchman first.
Yeah. So until then, not really. I'm just gonna head my way there, and once I get there, I'll wait around since I had objected to so much of a plan I was not given a role, which fits me. But
right.
I mean, it's not like you were being particularly fucking cooperative.
Hey,
so
you've got a bad fucking plan.
So the residence of the Frenchman is palatial. He maintains a palatial residence in Istanbul near the great palace of the Sultan. The gardens are grand and exotic where peacocks stroll, and 100 strange aromas, not all of them natural, fan the breezes. The residence is an elegant domed building. The silent servants bring the investigators out to the upper balcony where the Frenchman reclines in silks, puffing on a hookah. So the Frenchman sees you and says, "Gentlemen, welcome to my humble abode. Please have a seat. How may I be of service to you?"
We have been told that you are not a man to suffer fools, so I guess it would be best going to the point. As is, we have recently had quite a run-in into the, I guess you could call, local occultist scene. We have heard about these fellows named Nisra and Menkaph. Well, we would be interested in knowing anything that you could perhaps share with us.
He's puffing on his hookah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, Menkaph is a joke. I'm going to ask you to make a persuade roll.
Okay.
Salvador.
There we go.
Nice.
Nice.
If that's something that I'm good at, that's for sure.
Okay, well, if you want to know about matters of the occult nature, you've come to the right place. I can tell you much, but it comes at the price. And my price for you, my friends, is going to be in the form of a favor. I don't know what the favor is just yet, but I'll provide you information, and then one day, when I need a favor, I will call upon you to help me. But for now, the information is free. Does that sound fair enough?
Fair enough.
It is much appreciated.
So he tells you, Nisra, that whore, was a pupil of mine. She was persuaded by the charlatan Menkaph that the blood-red fez was a shortcut to power. So she abandoned her studies under me. She'll soon come to realize that there are no shortcuts to real power. Any power that's worth having. Nisra, she has cultivated a prince of sorts. Do you know who Razaman is?
Razaman?
The name does not resonate with me.
No, I am not aware of that man.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's a distant cousin of the Sultan. He was exiled because he's degenerate and ambitious. Combination the Sultan dislikes intensely, let me tell you. However, I've heard that Razaman has syphilis, which is hilarious if you ask me. Anyway, she's cultivated some kind of relationship with this prince and keeps him at her beck and call. Now, she set herself up on a forgotten island, known as the Island of Doomed Princes. Tell me, what do you know about
That's not a very good name.
What do you know about the Island of Princes?
Not much, I'm afraid.
Not much. We only know that they're off the coast of Turkey at this point.
Yes.
Well, you've no doubt heard that there are 9 islands.
That I have.
Well, what you probably don't know is there are actually 10. The furthest island is a place where Byzantine and Ottoman royalty have been exiled for centuries. Well, this is where Nisra has set up her secret lair of sorts. Unseen from all eyes, and most people don't even know the island exists. Anyway, she holds forth there with probably a few cultists, I would imagine, people that would be deluded enough to follow them. Now, Menkaph is just a pretender. The man knows nothing. Any power he has is due to Nisra. She's the one who knows more about items. She stole books and artifacts from my own library, and as a result, any knowledge she has would come from those. Menkaph knows nothing.
And at that point, I imagine that Vyacheslav shared with us the main points of the extracts from the Whispering Fez, right?
Nope.
I mean, I would say
There was no time to do that.
Oh yeah, true. No.
God damn it.
Your exact that happened at 2:00 in the morning. And when you guys woke up, you had a massive discussion about your plans. The Whispering Fez was never discussed. However, he knows that he seems to know something about the Fezes, the book being stolen. He knows that the Fezes are being used, but he's like, they have no idea what they're doing. They're just pretending at having power. That let them play their little games.
Well,
He thinks that Menkaph is a minor annoyance at best.
Is there anything you can tell us about Menkaph or Nizra that can help us in a potential, let's say, conflict with them? We may be coming up against them sometime in the future, and any sort of weakness or anything that you can give us that might help weigh the balance of the conflict in our favor would be greatly appreciated.
Well, Menkaph is a weakling.
I was just gonna add, especially considering that they seem to have a steady supply of pheasants.
Well, Nizra is by far the more dangerous of the two. Menkaph is a joke. You have nothing to fear from him. Now, he doesn't really have much else to tell you other than what he's already told you.
Well, there is one more thing that I am, at this point, I'm going to try and persuade him to, see his angle, and what I'm gonna ask him is, considering your opinions about this Nizra and this Menkaph, while Menkaph may be a minor annoyance, it definitely seems like Nizra is a bigger thorn on the side. How happy would you be for them to, be dealt with?
Nizra is young, and she has a lot of potential. Hopefully she'll see wisdom one day and will turn around. And I have no doubt that the day that happens will also culminate in Menkaph's death.
That may be
she
so,
realizes what a charlatan he is.
Yes, but at the same time, she has already betrayed you. If she now realizes that Menkaph is a charlatan, she might try a push of her own power, so to speak. Set herself as the main contender. As we know, there was this man, Suleiman, that she already had split off. What about him?
You mean Salim?
Yeah, Salim, sorry. Yes.
Salim is an okay guy. He keeps to his side of the street, I keep to mine, if you know what I mean.
Well, then I assume that so long as the status quo is maintained, you two are happy to maintain the peace. Well, as is, we have already made a deal with you, and I am very well aware that regardless of what you ask of us, we would not be able nor wise to refuse. So, I think for the interest of a working business relationship, especially one that does not end like how it went with the Baron von Huff, there will be a meeting tonight. For what we know, you are acquainted with Professor Demir, and considering that you have sent him books, I figure that you are, at least in some manner, fond of the man. As you may know, Menkaph and his cronies have Demir's eldest son, Varga. Salvador says the proper name. This is just the player not fucking knowing. Yeah. And, well, we're told to leave Demir's house by noon and Constantinople some point further. But we do want to help Demir recover his son. Now, of course, we know that just 4 of us have not nearly enough power. But you definitely have it. So I believe it is in best interest for a working business relationship that you know that we sent a telegraph to telling him of this meeting, since I figured that he might want to settle matters with Menkaph and Nizra. Not knowing that you hold power beyond what we already knew. We did not know of this status quo that was maintained, so I believe it is important now that you know that he will probably be trying to intervene in this meeting.
He does raise an eyebrow at the fact that Demir's son was kidnapped. And he says, "As unusually bold of Menkaph. They must have had a rare opportunity. I can't imagine he planned it, that's for sure. Man is a coward." You do know what Nithra means, don't you?
We do not. Can
Yeah.
you tell us?
It means the daughter of fate. Whatever happens, I'm sure is the will of the gods.
The gods. I'm
I'm
not
afraid
a
that's all I
religious man.
have time for, gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming today. And then, like, 3 burly servants smoothly and quietly appear on the terrace to take you away.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and
love
like Salvador,
James's,
you know, like
like,
he's gonna.
Gentlemen, like that's how I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That face
It's a
was.
total east meets west.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean
Burly-
Salvador's gonna
burly guy meeting.
Yeah. So
And, you know,
James stands and
okay, like
bows and says, "Thank you very much for your time and for the information you
Indeed.
provided today. It is greatly helpful to us. Our meeting with Nizra this evening may not go well, and I hope this doesn't cause us any issues with you, knowing that she was a former student of yours."
I have no regard for that whore. Whatever happens to her is her own fate.
He's jealous as shit.
Au revoir, gentlemen.
Au revoir.
You know, like like the usual. You know, thank you for your time and stuff.
Yeah.
Boom. We're leaving.
Jealousy's a hell of a drug.
Oh yeah. Now to the Hagia Sophia.
What time has it been, roughly?
But yeah,
I will tell you.
You'll see the next.
So you had to cross town. You got the tickets. You met with the Frenchman. So the ticket hours. I'm gonna say it is 2:00 in the afternoon.
And so we need 4 hours to cross the river.
So, and we're we're wanting to leave at 7. I mean, you guys don't necessarily know that, but that's gonna be plenty of time. I mean, once you guys get your business done, you're supposed to just go to the docks.
Yeah, but I've got here like an extra addendum that I'm gonna make on the march. Don't worry, it's not going to take much. As is, we already said that we were going to the British Consulate. That's our next leg. Now that we gathered, we go to the British Consulate. You know, officially to just check our vices and all that stuff.
I'm not going to the consulate.
You don't have to.
You can wait outside on a coffee or whatever.
Yeah, stay in a little street shop or something just outside the consulate.
As is, what I'm gonna tell to the consulate, because I imagine we can like kind of mull over, is that after checking the vices and all that stuff, I will, after showing them that I have, like, I guess the diplomatic status of like being a Spanish representative, having been sent to to England. So there's also those interests, blah blah blah. I'm gonna tell them that there have been some strange Turkish fellows that have been harassing us all the way, and we're a bit concerned about our personal safety. So should we not appear in the consulate by next day's noon, then they should assume that something has happened to us. Not giving too many details, but basically spinning this story about how there have been Turkish shady. Should I roll persuade, or they're just making?
No, you won't need to roll for anything. This is the wheels of bureaucracy, so they seem moderately disinterested, and
As long as they file their report, that's fine. I don't care if they're interested or not.
And they basically think that the city is, a bunch of savages, so they're not surprised that something like this would happen, and they just advise you to carry a derringer and be on your way.
Oh yeah, when he says to carry the derringer, I just show him that I got a piece. So
So after British Consulate,
We
guys
L'Angleterre.
We
Then I
police up Daniel from the coffee shop.
I talked to them about what I found.
So we're gonna cut from where you guys are back to Boran's office where Vyacheslav is, and you get a message, Vyacheslav, from Demir saying, "Return to the house at once. It's a matter of some urgency."
I've seen Demir's handwriting before, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Would I recognize this as his handwriting?
Yes.
And Demir's supposed to meet us at the boat, right?
You did not make that arrangement with him, as far as I know.
I mean, how is he getting there, though?
Well, that's the thing. He doesn't know. He can barely walk around. So he didn't know whether he was going to be the bait for this ambush or what.
Mm-hmm.
What time is it?
11:07. What time is it in the game world? 2 p.m.
How long does it take to get to Demir and back? So total
2
round
hours.
trip.
2 hours.
Okay. Vyacheslav stands up and finds Boran and says, "I hope you will excuse me, but something, an emergency has came up." Now, did you happen to see did I know who brought me that message? Or did Boran, hand it to me?
No, it was just a random. It's just like a random messenger.
Okay, it's just another messenger. Okay, gotcha. Perhaps if maybe you send a couple of those guys you're sending with me tonight, I have an urgent thing I need to take care of, and I might need some backup. I know I'm asking a lot of you. Just
it's
a few.
nothing. It's nothing. I'll call you a carriage right now. Two guys peel over from a bunch of guys, and he speaks to them in rapid fire Turkish. Says they'll take you wherever you need to go.
All right, to Demir's. You know where that is.
They know.
Let's
He
go.
tells them they dress in Turkish.
I've got my Smith & Wesson with me.
So you get to the house, and Demir looks a little worse for wear.
Be right back.
He seems a little out of sorts, but he says that he successfully translated the section in hieroglyphics. He's very shaken. He says that the hieroglyph section makes it plain that a true prince is not needed, but whoever wears the fez and conducts the ritual will be as a prince. This will be disastrous, allowing the entrance into our reality a foul being beyond any mundane conception of evil, known as the father of sorcerers. The price that the city and indeed the world could pay is incalculable. However, the hieroglyphs also detail how to destroy the fez completely. Someone must wear the fez in proximity with the current control fez wearer and challenge and defeat that person in a battle of wills. The symbols on the fez describe the ritual that enacts this. So, my friend,
My.
what I think needs to happen is I need to wear this fez and battle against Menkaph, the controlling fez. You make sure my son makes it out safely and that I can finish the ritual, the spell needed to defeat him. And if all goes
Remember
well, we'll
what I
destroy
said.
the fez, and then we just have to clean up the rest of their filthy gang after.
Vyacheslav pulls him close, with his shoulder, and kind of grabs his hand, in a handshake, but not actually shaking his hand, and says, "You will be doing the world a great favor. You will have done your part, and it will be a great honor to get your son out of there alive. We will do this. I assure you."
Now remember, I can't really move very well. So if
Think you
bullets
come
start
with
to
me
fly, Try not to shoot me by accident.
So
That's a thing? We can shoot him by accident?
here is what I think.
Well, you're gonna have 50 guys all firing at the same time.
Here
Oh
is-
yeah,
here
we're
is
gonna
what I
we're gonna tear
think,
that place
Demir.
up.
Yeah, baby.
So Demir,
Oh,
grab your books, all the things that you need. Let us be on our way. Say goodbye to your wife and your other 2 children. It might be your last, friend.
And yours as well, my friend. Because if we fail, it's not going to be just our lives at stake.
Why we have no option but to succeed? Let's be
When
off.
there's no option but to succeed, we have no choice. So
Vyacheslav
he
stands
kind of
up.
gets up.
Vyacheslav would help him up.
Sing as he stands up. Says, "Okay then." Grabs the book, the Whispering Fez, takes one of the fezzes, and says, "We'll destroy the rest after tonight."
Must tell me how you destroy them in case you don't make it out.
To do that, it will require being able to read the hieroglyphics. Then when you
They're
do it,
On the way over there and in
Basically
the
what
time
happens-
between that space, can he at least explain to me what that passage says? Like, and so that I can rehearse it and memorize it, and that way I don't necessarily have
Not
to
really.
know, but no? Okay.
because you need to have 25% Cthulhu mythos first of all. So you had to have already be accustomed to doing this kind of stuff. There is quite a bit of sanity loss involved. Your mythos goes up by a lot after doing all the study. However, you do learn a whole mess of spells.
So, call it there, I assume,
Let's
after
do
we get back to the docks? Or do we have
when we get
everyone
back
meet
to
at the
the
docks and
docks.
there you go?
No, we'll call it there. You still have the entire afternoon to figure out some other stuff.
And Demir's coming
if you
with
want
me,
to,
so-